He slows as he passes the bench. Not enough to stop, just enough for his steps to lose their rhythm. The bench is still there, paint worn thin along the edges. One slat slightly lighter than the others where hands once rested too often. He stands beside it, but does not sit. His fingers hover near the backrest, then fall to his side. He adjusts his sleeve instead. The air feels the same, or almost the same. He has walked this path before, many times, at the same hour, with the same measured pace. Today, something is slightly misaligned. He keeps his eyes forward. The bench remains in the corner of his vision, close enough to see, far enough to pretend it is only wood. He clears his throat, though no one is near. The sound disappears quickly. For a moment, his hand lifts again, not to touch, just to confirm the distance. It is exactly where it has always been. He remembers where he used to sit, not the memory itself, only the shape of it, the way his body once leaned without thinking, the way his shoulders once softened without permission. Now he stands upright, too upright. A faint breeze moves past him. The bench does not move. He shifts his weight from one foot to the other. The gravel beneath his shoes makes a small sound. He waits for another sound to follow. None does. The space beside the bench feels wider than it should, as if something invisible has been removed, leaving air where warmth once stayed. He presses his lips together, not in sadness, not in anger, just to hold something steady. He takes one step forward, then another. His pace returns, but not fully. There is a small hesitation between strides, as if the ground itself has shifted a fraction of an inch. He does not turn around. He knows the bench remains behind him, unchanged, holding its place without effort. And yet something about the space beside it feels permanently altered. He returns the next day at the same hour. His steps measure the distance before he reaches it. 7 steady strides after the bend. 3 more once the shadow stretches across the ground. He does not look at the bench immediately. Instead, he slows earlier this time, as if preparing himself for something that will not happen. The bench waits in its place. Paint still worn. The lighter slat unchanged. He walks past it, 2 steps beyond, then 3. He stops there, standing with his back half turned, close enough to feel its presence, far enough to deny it. His hands remain in his pockets today. He keeps them there longer than necessary. His shoulders lift slightly, then settle. He used to sit without thinking, used to lower himself before deciding. The motion had once been automatic, like breathing. Now every movement feels negotiated. He turns his head just enough to see the edge of the seat. Not the whole shape. Only a fragment. It is enough. A small routine begins to form. He arrives. He slows. He passes. He pauses a few steps away. He stands there for a fixed amount of time. Long enough for the breeze to shift once. Long enough for his breathing to steady again. Then he leaves. Each day, the pattern repeats. The bench does not change. The space around it does not change. Only his distance does. Some days he stops closer. Some days he remains farther back. Once, he almost sits. His knees bend slightly, but he straightens before lowering himself. The motion feels incomplete, like a word swallowed before it reaches sound. He tells himself nothing, makes no decision. He simply walks the same path again the following day, letting the repetition hold what he will not touch. The bench remains, and he keeps adjusting the space between them. One afternoon, he arrives later than usual. The light is thinner. The shadows stretch farther across the path. He notices the difference immediately. Not on the bench. In himself. His steps are uneven. Not slower. Just less certain. He reaches the usual spot. 7 strides after the bend. But miscounts. He takes 8. He stops, looks down briefly at the ground, as if the mistake belongs there. The bench waits in the fading light. The lighter slat catches the last thin stripe of sun. He does not pass it this time. He stands directly in front of it, closer than before. Close enough to see small cracks in the paint. Close enough to notice how still it truly is. His hand lifts without hesitation. It rests on the backrest. Only for a second. The wood is cool. Familiar in shape. Unfamiliar in feeling. He removes his hand quickly, as though the contact requires explanation. He does not sit. Instead, he steps to the side of the bench, standing where he once used to stand before lowering himself. The exact place. His body remembers the angle. The slight turn. The pause before sitting. But the pause stretches. Longer than it used to. He waits for something to settle inside him. For a weight to return. For a sense of alignment. Nothing arrives. The breeze moves past again. His shirt shifts against his back. The space beside the bench feels occupied by something invisible. Not a presence. More like an outline. He stares at the seat. Not at a memory. Not at a face. Just at the empty surface. He realizes he cannot picture himself sitting there anymore. The image stops halfway. His knees do not bend. Instead, he steps back. One slow step, then another. He leaves without looking behind him, aware that something has quietly stopped fitting, even if nothing visible has changed. The next time he walks the path, he does not slow down. His steps hold their rhythm through the bend. 7 strides pass without counting. The shadow stretches across the ground, and he keeps moving. The bench appears where it always has. Paint worn. The lighter slat waiting under open air. He does not shift his gaze toward it. Not out of effort. Not out of discipline. There is simply no adjustment this time. His hands remain at his sides. They do not hover. They do not rise. He walks past. The space beside the bench feels smaller now. Contained. No longer pulling at him from the corner of his vision. He notices the breeze again. The faint sound of gravel under his shoes. The steady motion of his own breathing. The bench stays behind him. Unmoved. Unchanged. He does not imagine sitting. The image no longer pauses halfway. It does not begin at all. There had been a place once. A precise alignment of shoulder and wood. Of silence shared without effort. That alignment does not exist anymore. Not because it broke. Not because it faded. It simply does not return. He reaches the end of the path without realizing how far he has gone. His steps remain even. There is no urge to measure the distance back. The bench remains where it belongs. Part of the path. Part of the air. But no longer part of him. He continues forward. Not faster. Not lighter. Just without turning his head. And the space behind him settles into its own quiet, holding what it will always hold, while he keeps walking into a place that is not included. Some moments are not missed by choice. They pass because there is no time left. Most people realize it much later. If you have ever looked back at a place you cannot return to, this feeling may be familiar.